Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Chevy Drives Chicago, the official truck partner of your Chicago Bears.
Well, it's amazing how swift a week will go by when a team plays a Monday night road game. Quick as a hiccup, man. Hard to get your bearings, and we don't play. Imagine what these guys are going through as they get ready to host the New Orleans Saints Sunday at Soldier Field with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. We discuss today in episode 178 of the Bears Etc. podcast. And this episode of Bears Etc. is brought to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com, the official truck of your Chicago Bears. It's Thursday with the coordinators. We'll touch on all those. We'll talk the Bears and Saints. We have a great conversation coming up with DeAndre Swift. He's our player profile for Sunday's Bears Game Day Live. You can watch that 10:30 Sunday morning, put together by Kevin Foy. What have you learned about the Saints from watching them on tape? What really sticks out?
They're a good football team. And the thing about it is they're playing for nothing, but they're playing for everything. They're playing for a new head coach. They have the serious drive of some really good veterans on that football team. They're not expected to win, but that's sometimes when you play your best. This is a team that's going to come in here and they're going to relish in the fact that they get to play outdoor football in cool conditions because it's going to keep them fresh. Spencer Rattler is a confident guy. He's not a guy that kind of shies away from the spotlight, shies away from just some of the weapons that he has on the offensive side of the ball. How do the Bears accept it? How do they absorb it? Jeff, this is the first time that they've been this significantly favored in a game in a long time. So it's about what is New Orleans thinking, but what do the Bears need to think?
Dome team coming into weather. Weather forecast looks a little ugly with the rain. Rain and wind.
Look at you.
Head start on you.
Pull that carpet right up from underneath my feet.
Head start on you. What are you hearing? You have a more accurate, because I trust your insights, Tommy, on the weather.
I'm saying the rain's going to start about noon on Saturday, and it's going to go through the night, and then it's going to go up into the early morning at a moderate level up until about 10 o'clock. Oh. So first thing I think is when are they required to take the tarp off? If they're not required to take the tarp off up until that rain stops, it's going to be perfect playing conditions.
So no rain on Sunday then? Basically.
Up until 10 a.m.
Okay.
But not during game time. So that's what I'm saying. See, there's a time that they have to take the tarp off outdoor fields. And if they can take it off after the rain has subsided, the field conditions will be perfect.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffels is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create a dream bedroom for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by the Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffels will donate $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in store and online at steinhoffels.com. DJ Moore limited with hip and groin back after staying back in the Washington area for precautionary reasons. Noah Sewell with the concussion. He did not practice. Start with the offense, Tommy. Caleb Williams now at 3 of his last 6 games. When you go back to the Packer win at the end of last season, leading fourth quarter game-winning drives. Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, saying what we always believe, yet to play your cleanest brand of ball. But the Bears, Tommy, have scored in 18 of 20 quarters this season, including 12 of the last 13 quarters, 21 points in each of the 5 games. Only team in the league to do that. First since 1995 in the Bears franchise. So the biggest improvements, there's a lot, and it starts as they begin the conversation with Declan Doyle in the run game.
Over the headset, he was kind of like, hey, here we go. We're going to lean on the run game here a little bit here in this last drive, and they're going to take us to a win here. And to be able to say that and then go do it and execute it in crunch time when the game is on the line and kind of fall back on the details and all those things that we have talked about kind of ad nauseum as we've talked about the run game here early in the season. But to be able to go and execute it in crunch time was awesome.
Knowing the way Swift is wired, what did you appreciate about what happened Monday night for him, given how much he's stuck at it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime good things happen to people that, you've seen work at it behind the scenes and, he certainly received a little bit of scrutiny, just from the outside. And for him to stick with it and just continue to battle. Awesome to see him go do what he did and, making a number of huge plays that were really important for us to get the win down.
What did New Orleans mean to your coaching career?
I have a special place in my heart for New Orleans. That was obviously where I got started. Sean hired me when I was 22 and I moved down there, and I kind of grew up in the NFL in that way in my career. My now wife moved down there with me, and we spent 4 years there. That organization is top class. Mrs. B and Mickey Loomis and all the people still there that are working. I have nothing but great things to say about and the most respect for.
How have you seen Dennis Allen handle a week like this, just being there last year? Is it fresh for him at all? Could you tell?
No, I think he just handles it. He handles his business every week. You'd have to ask him, but I haven't seen anything different from him. He's business as usual, putting a good plan together to go after this offense.
Declan, the completion percentage has been a big thing that Ben has been hammering publicly and I assume privately too. What are you guys emphasizing to try to get that up for Caleb?
It's the same thing with his eyes and his post-snap operation. Being able to find your checkdowns, being able to tie your feet into your eyes, because a lot of those numbers get inflated when late in a play you're able to find an outlet and get those yards in third and fourth in the progression, catches the ball and he's catching and knifing. That's really a point of emphasis. Like, we're going to go out here to third down. If 1 and 2 gets shut down, we have to continue playing through that progression and working to find 3, 4, and 5. And that really is how those numbers go up. It's process related. You can't just say, hey, you got to complete the ball. It's really, okay, well, how do I do that? And that's by, continuing to stick with, I'm 3, 4, 5 in the progression.
Declan, with the passing game, as you guys evolve to try to create more yards after the catch, what is Caleb's responsibility in improving that area of the offense?
Ball location is the number one thing. So, we talk about a runner's ball, but anytime we're throwing the ball, within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, that the ball location is precise, and it has to be for our player to be able to transition quickly into a runner, and then for our guys to be able to go block for that player. And so that's the number one thing that. He would come up here, and if I said ball location, he would laugh because he hears it all the time. But that's the biggest thing.
How do you create improvement with that?
That is the mechanics that he works with JT and individual things like that, and then also comfort in the concepts that we're asking him to put his feet in line with where he needs to throw the ball, his eyes in line with where he needs to throw the ball, and continue to accelerate that growth.
Caleb said that he didn't think the call on the touchdown run, in the first half, was going to work. And he said Ben told him, he's like, this is a good play call right here. And then to see the proof of concept with it working, like when you're hearing that stuff on the headset, what goes through your mind, and what do you think that does for him to have a confident play caller who puts him in situations?
Yeah, I think confidence comes from demonstrated ability. And so when he goes out there and we call this play and he's looking at the look and he's like, hey, it doesn't look, you just trust, kind of the planning, the scheming that we've done during the week. Trust that, we're going to try to put you in the best possible position to have success. And for him to see that, I think it creates buy-in from everybody. But, anytime you're in those crunch time moments and you see something that you plan go well, it's a good thing.
Declan, what's made the Saints' run defense so tough this year?
The 2 edge players, or really the 3 edge players, I think are good players. But then you look at the interior of the defense, like Demario Davis. I have a little bit of history of just being there. So much respect for the way he plays the game, the physical element, downhill. He's a player who's going to strike you. I think, some of those guys, whether that's Pete or that's Demario, those guys are kind of the bell cows there, and I think they're impressive to watch on tape, and I think that's what makes them, the way they play. I think it's a reflection of them.
All right, a lot there. I love, how the offensive line ran off the ball, hitting the second level, interior offensive line being firm in there, the perimeter blocking. I went up to Darnell Wright in the locker room. He was on his phone. I go, hey, I love that power sweep, man. He said, thank you. A man of few words, but the finish was important. What'd you gather from what Declan had to say and about all the details that matter?
I really like listening to Declan up at the podium when he gets to address the media. He's a super intelligent guy. He's gained a lot of experience in the NFL. He's been around some really good coaches and some good football working atmosphere, and he's absorbing it like a sponge. He is going to be a guy that's eventually going to be on the radar of some people around the league because the experiences that he's getting and the coaches that he's around. But I like what he's, when he's talking about the way that Caleb Williams is coming along, is getting the ball out of his hands and understanding where your eyes and your feet are, making sure that you're understanding the ball placement. So that's super encouraging. And when you want to talk about the offensive line, to me, this is the most physical game the offensive tackle position has played up into this point in the season. And you talk about those sweeps to the right-hand side led by Darnell Wright. There's times where, he's overmatching the opponent in size, but he's taking two guys out at once. He's nimble on his feet for a big guy, and I think that really opens up an opportunity to run that play repeatedly out of, however many different formations you can set it up. Theo Benedette answered the bell in some difficult conditions, both because of the weather and in the loud crowd noise support they had there. And I think that the interior of the line is getting better, and the more Ben and Declan talk about the different combination blocks of the offensive line, they're getting to understand each other's rhythm better. And then the running backs, all three of them, are getting to understand the process of the offensive line from every running play called.
How does this stack up against a couple of really significant veterans? Because it's been a lot of years in the league for Cam Jordan. I think that's a player that will play on Darnell's side most of the time. Carl Granderson is a violent football player, probably underrated for what he does. And then, of course, you got Demario Davis coming downhill. It's a 3-4 defense, but they do a lot of different things. Explain how that changes the Bears' approach in the run game.
Defenses nowadays, 3-4 defense, 4-3 defenses, they all look the same because the outside linebackers are now built like as big as defensive ends when I played. So if you want to shift that until unders and overs, if they shift over is to the strong side, under is if they shift to the weak side. And so they can make a 3-4 defense look like a 4-man front, just like a 4-man front can make it look like a 3-man front. So I just think that when you look at the two outside defensive ends, it's a big responsibility for the tight ends and the offensive tackles. They have a great deal of experience. They're strong football players, and they've seen every offense that you can possibly see. And when you talk about Demario Davis, this is something whether you're assigned to him as a running back or you're assigned to him as an offensive guard or center in a combination block, you better get in his path. You don't necessarily have to deplete him and knock him over, but you better disrupt his flow to the play because he is a good football player. He is a good tackler. And so if you want to have that 2-yard play go to a 6-yard play, you better get a piece of Demario Davis.
Teams are running the ball at 3.84 a carry against the Saints. That's 7th best in the NFL. That the Saints are shutting that down. Where they're vulnerable, it appears to be in the secondary. They're giving up a lot of touchdown passes, Tommy.
Yeah, and that comes down to pass blocking. When you can never ignore the front, no matter what type of success you want to talk about when you're talking about a defense. So if this Bears offensive line, and I think they're going to have an opportunity to be a little bit more aggressive up front because of being able to hear the snap count from Caleb. And so that'll help them be a little bit more aggressive in their pass blocking approach. And if they feel confident pass blocking, I do think this is a secondary that you're going to be able to take advantage of. However, that caveat, what is DJ Moore's status at the start of the game? Do you have a full stable of receivers? Does Luther Burden pick up a little bit more slack? Do they play more 2 tight end sets? And it's all that type of game day evaluation you have to take into account when you're missing some really key components, a guy like DJ.
Luther's played 81 offensive snaps. He's got 12 targets, 11 catches, and he's made some big plays. He's knocking on the door, isn't he?
Well, you said he had 81 total snaps?
Yeah, in 5 games.
So he could have 30 in this game. So you're talking about basically doubling his output that he's had per game. And so I do think that if he has to fill the role of a DJ Moore, Olamide Zaccheaus is, equally as effective. We all know what Rome has been able to do. So we'll see where it goes on game day activation. But, DJ Moore is a stud, and I hope he's ready to go.
Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears and you too. Let's switch over to Dennis Allen, facing his old team with the Saints. 15 of his 20-something years in the NFL spent with the Saints as a coordinator, position coach, head coach. It's a lot of things on the table as he looks at this team, his old team, many of his players there. He built a team in the image that he wants the Bears to be defensively, and that is a physically aggressive, violent, and a big speed team, and that shows up on special teams and in defense for the New Orleans Saints. Here's Dennis Allen from earlier on Thursday.
I mean, really, I spent 15 out of my 24 years in the league at that place, so obviously I got a lot of fond memories of being there. And yet, it's another game, and that's where our focus is this week. And I think we got a good opponent. I think this is a team that, as you watch the tape, they continue to get better. They've got a lot of skill position players that I think are really explosive. Receivers, tight end, runners. All those guys are good players. I think offensive line wise, in particular, the right side of the offensive line, Fuaga, Eric McCoy in there at center, Cesar Ruiz at the right guard, first round pick at left tackle, moving Trevor Penning inside the guard, another first round pick. So I think this is a team that's continued to improve in every single one of their games. They've been in every single one of them. So we got a challenge this week.
What's been key to just stacking up the takeaways?
It comes from preparation. That's the first thing. You're looking for your opportunities where you have an opportunity to make plays. You can't play every play on every play. You have to look for tactical clues that tell you where your opportunities might come to make a play, and then when those opportunities present themselves, you got to be able to take advantage of it. You have to create population around the ball. It's hard to take the ball away if you don't have guys around it. So it's things that we talk about each and every week. It's a big focus for us in terms of taking the ball away. I think it's one of the big determining factors in winning and losing ball games is the turnover takeaway ratio, and so that's probably been what we've done best, and we need to continue to do that.
On that first fumble recovery on Monday night, what did you see both in the ability of Tez to get it loose and then the number of guys you had going after it on the mile?
I think obviously the other night, the conditions I think kind of helped for some of the ball security issues. But it's one of those things where that's how the ball comes out in our league. The ball comes out with top-down punch-outs. And so when you have a lot of guys swarming the ball, a lot of times these ball carriers start worrying about and more concerned about the guys that are trying to tackle them. And so they lose a little bit of focus on protecting the football. And that's when they're vulnerable to giving it up to us.
What are you seeing from Spencer right now that's caused such an improvement in his game, and how do you disrupt that a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think he's doing a good job of getting rid of the ball. I think when he's able to get the ball out in rhythm and on timing, I think he's been highly successful. And then the second thing that he's been able to do is when it hasn't been there, he's been able to create a lot of things with his feet. So I think his mobility is one of those factors that we're going to have to take into account.
Let's married up with that. What makes Olave as quarterback friendly as he is, and particularly to this particular game?
Yeah, look, I think he runs exceptional routes. He's got really good speed. He's got great transition in and out of the break, and so I think that's really what it is. I think his ability to transition, which creates separation, and now quarterbacks throwing into a few more open windows than some of these guys that maybe take a little bit more time getting in and out of their breaks in their transition.
So they asked him, Tommy, about Spencer Rattler, what he's doing well. And, Spencer's not turning the ball over, and he's doing a lot of things in the pretty good category for this second-year quarterback.
Yeah, both Declan and Dennis, they both have a lot of respect for their time spent in New Orleans Saints, and I think they grew a lot as coaches and coordinators. When you think about Dennis Allen, that's where he's kind of built the foundation of his coaching tenure so far in the NFL. And he knows those guys. He knows the defensive players. He knows what a great player Davis is at linebacker. He knows Jordan at the defensive end, knows Granderson at the defensive end position as well. So he's familiar with the talent they have, and he's got an understanding what the offense is, and he talked about the offensive line specifically, what a talented group they are up front, and I think that's where it all starts for the New Orleans Saints. They have a high draft choices, talent at the offensive line, and if this offense is going to get going, if they're going to protect Spencer Rattler, if Alvin Kamara is healthy and ready to go, he's a double-edged threat in running the ball and catching the ball. Chris Olave is a heck of a receiver. So they got a lot of key components in that offense that Dennis Allen is familiar with, so he has to know how to run his style of Chicago Bear defense.
And Rashid Shaheed, a speed demon at wide receiver, getting better, and also in the punt return game as well. I loved what he talked about. I don't know if I had it in there or not now that I think about it, but stopping the run, not as complicated as people make it. That's Dennis Allen. He says it's a matter of getting off the ball, striking blocks, getting off of blocks, fundamentals. Everything's matter. Everything matters. So I find that interesting.
Is how do you disengage on the line of scrimmage to get into the path of a ball carrier? How do you hold up an offensive lineman in a combination block to make sure that they don't get efficiently to the second level and get to the linebacker and hold him at bay or push him out of the way, or at least get in his way enough where he can't get in a tackling position? That is the basics of football. I struggle. He had another really good quote that I'm going to have to go back and listen to because I wanted to remember it because I just thought it was
next time, pen and paper, Tommy. Pen and paper, jotting notes.
I know, but I promised myself I would remember it, and I don't.
All right, let's talk about the takeaways, because everybody's got an opinion on takeaways. In the years we've been around, there's not a coach in the world who doesn't want takeaways. They preach takeaways. And then they come in, do they come in bunches? And then, you can't count on it every year. I had a conversation with Al Harris today, Bears defensive back coach, about taking the ball away. Bears right now are second in the league in total takeaways. They're tied for first in takeaway differential, and they've got 40 points off takeaways, which is fourth in the NFL. That's a big component of the offense, then taking advantage of it. Here's Al Harris' conversation I had about mindset in takeaways.
I truly believe that. I live by that. I coach by that. It's a mindset. You can say turnovers come in bunches, but if you're not thinking about them, you're not going to get them. It's just not going to happen.
So when I interview guys and I say the ball seems to be finding you, that's also a compliment to them being put in the right position, being in the positions where they anticipate more than not. Is that a fair thing to say or not?
And it's also a credit to them of thinking of getting the football. You know what I mean? Because like I said, you'll find guys who will cover receivers, and you got the receiver covered, all right? You might have made a breakup, or the guy might have caught the ball and you're saying good coverage, or if you got a ball mindset, you're covering this guy, but once the ball is in the air, if I'm going to get the football, now that's where it comes to life. You have to think, you have to make a conscious effort to get the guy's mindset to getting the ball. During the week, you give them a few looks to own these looks, and when these looks happen, you go and get the football. You know what I mean? You're aggressive to the pass, aggressive to the run, but at the end of the day, all right, we in the passing game, we want to beat you to the ball, and in the run game, we want to take the ball away from you.
Is it tie into it the idea that you want these guys and the whole team being aggressive, violent, getting to the hit, and because you're going to jar some balls free when that happens?
Yes, you got to be aggressive to everything. Coverage, run game, everything. The aggression has to be there along with the mindset.
Did you come into the league with that mindset?
Always.
Yeah.
Always as a player.
Who created that for you?
I was around some really, really good coaches that were ex-players. Emmett Thomas, Lionel Washington, Leslie Frazier, So, you know, all the guys that made an impact on me as a player were ball guys. So once I started coaching, I knew how that impacted me. So that's I lead with that, getting the ball.
I've heard a lot about Emmett, like from other. What do you hear in your head when you think about Emmett Thomas teaching you, coaching you?
Go get the ball.
That's simple.
Yes, go get the ball.
Nothing fancy.
Yes, go get the ball.
Well, the reason I shake my head is because you had him reference Emmett Thomas and his background and the way he talked about turnovers. Well, Jim LaRue was the defensive back coach of the 85 defense. And he always used to say in this really southern drawl going, it seems to me if the ball's in the air, it ought to be ours. So he was of the mindset that any pass thrown, it should be intercepted by the defensive back. So he never kind of felt fortunate about getting interceptions or takeaways or turnovers, however you want to label them. He is in the mindset of all the defensive back coaches that and Al Harris said it, if you have great coverage, the result should be an interception. You can't just be happy with great coverage. You have to be able to get yourself in a position to make the interception, and sometimes that's why you're making them either bunches or every once in a while.
This podcast is brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller Time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, before I go to Richard Hightower, I want to switch gears. Go to DeAndre Swift, part of the player profile you'll hear and see on Game Day Live, Sunday at 10:30 on Fox. For our Bears-Saints preview. It starts with his relationship and what he's learning from position coach Eric Bieniemy. All right, I talked to Coach Bieniemy before this interview, and I said, hey, what's your room like?
Yeah.
He just started laughing. He goes, I have the quietest group of running backs I have ever been around. He goes, they are wonderful human beings, wonderful young men, but boy, are they quiet. And he's not, right?
He could be quiet enough because he got all the voice.
Yeah, I mean, so does he do most of the talking in there?
100%, 100%.
How are you guys growing? Because that's a family in there.
It's been great, and it's continuing to grow. Like he said, the human beings we got in that room is phenomenal. But since he's been in there, since he got the job, it's just been great for us, for me individually. Just somebody I can relate to, just how real he is as a coach and as a man. This type of person you had that respect for outside of football. Just one you appreciate.
In what sense?
He'll put stuff in perspective as far as like life and things like that. We'll have one-on-one conversations about stuff outside of football. Just somebody you can go to and he's gonna give you the real. You know what I mean? That's just kind of something that I relate to.
I tell you right now, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Nah, yeah, he's still
I wouldn't want to
tackle
tackle
him. A
him.
little bowling ball.
Yeah. Have you popped tape on him?
I haven't. I haven't. But I've heard all the stories. I know he's a leading rusher in Colorado.
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard all great things on the field, but I know him for more of the coaching aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. What's more important for you, burst or vision?
I would say you kind of go hand in hand, but I would say vision first, and then after the vision, you gotta have the burst. You know what I'm saying? It goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and as over the course of your career, you could always lean on both, right? You've run the ball so long in your life, all the way back to high school as a true freshman. But I'm wondering the importance of seeing it and hitting it, and seeing it and bouncing it in terms of finishing these runs and making them big, right?
100%. Depending on what type of run, the scheme, how it's being blocked up, how the defense is playing, all that comes into it.
What is Ben Johnson and the type of plays he's put in this playbook for the run game and the passing game involving you? How has this impacted you?
It's been amazing. It's been reunited with him. I cannot say enough how smart he is. Just the way he calls the game, is able to get his playmakers the ball and things like that in space. Just the time that the plays get called and things like that. Just the work that he puts in that people don't see. I know he has long nights and early mornings. But it's been great. I mean, we have a lot of talent on the offense, and he does a great job. And I know he trying to find different ways to get everybody else involved, because we have a lot of talent on this offense.
In terms of his work ethic, I know you kind of smiled there.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of what?
So
give me an example.
My routine, I'm here pretty early, and his car is always there before mine.
Can't beat them.
Oh no, I don't know what time he get here, but I'm normally here about 5:40, 45, something like that. He's always here before mine. First one there.
Yeah. Do you ever knock on the door and say, "Coach, here's a cup of Joe for you"?
No. I know he already got it himself.
I saw something. This was from your days in Philadelphia with the Eagles. Oddly enough, with Terrell Edmonds, who was on that team,
Yeah.
Tremaine's brother. You guys were right behind the screen for Game 2 of the playoffs, National League Championship Series between Phillies and Arizona Diamondbacks. And I saw a different side of you, man. A relaxed DeAndre Swift enjoying a ball game. It was hilarious. You guys were mic'd up.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because I loved it. That was awesome.
It was amazing. I forgot I was mic'd up throughout the game. But it was cool. That was my first baseball game I ever been to.
Oh, you're kidding
me. So for it to be a playoff game, it was crazy in there. The atmosphere was. I can't wait to go back to another playoff game because of that. I started getting into baseball because of that game.
Okay.
But it was cool, man. Especially going with Rel. It was fun.
Tom, there's so much respect for this coach, number one, and then I appreciate DeAndre talking about Ben Johnson. He had never been to a baseball game. He sat right behind home plate with Tremaine Edmonds' brother back a couple years back when he was with the Phillies.
One thing about DeAndre Swift is because like all of us that we got to know Eric Bieniemy and how stern of a coach he is, sometimes that makes you go two ways if you're a veteran. You can either accept it or you can ignore it. And if you ignore it, you're going to be left behind. If you accept it, you're going to become a better football player and you're going to start turning into the player that running back coach knows you can be. And I think that's what we've seen out of DeAndre Swift since the beginning of the season. Because when they had Kyle Monangai and Roshan Johnson get hurt in training camp, this bulk of the load has been put on the shoulders of DeAndre Swift. In every game, he's gotten better. Every game, he's been more included. He's making bigger plays. That play that he made the other night by breaking the tackle on the sideline and turning it into a touchdown, that's DeAndre Swift. So I have all the admiration in the world for DeAndre Swift, because even in Ben's first press conference, he talked about the dirty yards. And DeAndre Swift is committed to the dirty yards. He runs that and hits the hole aggressively. So, and I remember you making a comment the other night. We kind of had a sideline view of DeAndre Swift, and he hit the hole full speed. There was no hesitation at all. And it was evident from the booth, and it's evident from down on the field and evident in the film.
Score big at your local Chevy dealer. The Chevy Silverado will take you through the season in style. Chevy Drive Chicago, official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Don't know what the kicking situation will be on Sunday, but getting the new kicker ready, that was the job of Richard Hightower, and kickers just being kickers. They get ready. Jake Moody, the newest Bear, and how that all went down Monday night in Landover, Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult process. Obviously, you have to have a new guy come in, get acclimated to not only the team, but also get acclimated to a new holder, a new snapper. Speaking in terms of, I guess, it's really tough. It is. Some people don't think it is, but it's kudos to our personnel department for having Jake in early enough for him to have an opportunity to get some familiarity, so that when his opportunity and his number was called, he was ready to deliver. Most of the time when that happens, you get called in and you're flying on a plane, and then the next day you kicking and you're trying to figure out what the snapper or holder's name is and how he holds the ball and all that good stuff. So it's a difficult process, but those guys handled it. They handled it masterfully.
Coach, was that as good a test? The conditions, out in D.C., was that as good a test for Jake that you could have, considering he may have to kick here in Chicago and understanding what Soldier Field is like?
Yeah, that was a really tough environment to kick in, a playoff environment. That team was NFC Championship, type team, and really good football team, really good environment. Having worked there before, that environment is totally different. They got a good thing going over there. Really proud of Jake, the way he stepped in. was a consummate pro, really a professional. And then you add the weather and the inclement weather conditions, snapping a wet ball, holding a wet one, and then obviously kicking a heavier ball because the ball is wet. In those conditions can be really tough for specialists. So credit to those guys. I didn't even have to get them to do wet ball this week. They did it on their own. Like they were already light years ahead of when we went out there. They were doing it before I ever got to them. So they were already on the field doing it on Wednesday. So it was good by them doing that.
The target line for where you wanted to get the kick. I know that was the one play where Caleb slid to keep the clock running, but then you guys had to keep getting more yards, just make it as comfortable as possible. Maybe in different situations, you can say we're comfortable here or there.
Yeah, it's what's so cool about Coach Ben is that we've been having those conversations probably since the second week he got here about moving the ball into a good, comfortable position for the kicker, all of that good stuff. So we've been having that dialogue for a long time. So when it came down to it, there was nothing. We already knew where we were going with the ball and how we were going to do it and everything. And I mean, he's so ahead of the game. I mean, even at the hotel, he was talking about a game-winning kick and where we wanted it and all of that stuff, which is crazy. But that's what he was talking about at the hotel with having a new kicker up. So that just goes to show you like the preparation that goes into all that stuff.
Shaheed dangerous? What's the top of your report on him?
Yeah, he is a phenomenal football player now. He is really elusive, really good punt returner. Obviously, he's been a Pro Bowler in his past. Outstanding player. It's going to be a huge challenge for us. We're excited for the challenge to go against him. We got a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect for that unit, and we're going to have our hands full because he is dangerous.
So I know we discussed this on the last podcast, but Jake Moody has kicked in the Super Bowl. He's been in big moments, but the new team and the conditions after missing a kick because it was blocked, low trajectory, man, that had to be some real pressure, honestly.
Yeah, but that's what the kickers live by. Every single kick is pressure, no matter if you're 30 yards out or 60 yards out. And because of his upbringing and kicking at Michigan, he's played in some of the biggest stadiums in the country. When you announced the attendance the other day, I think it was 62,000 something. That's 40,000 smaller than the college stadium he played in.
That's right.
So, but when Coach Hightower talked about these guys getting prepared during the week with the wet footballs, understanding that the ball's going to be heavier, understanding that the rotation of the spin is going to be a little bit different because of the moisture on the football. So Coach Hightower really admired these guys acting like the experienced, the veterans they are, to make sure that they got prepared for what could have been the worst case scenario, which it was. However, it ended up working out in the best for them. And then when you think about how important Moody was, the Bears, would they have 2 punts? Torrey Taylor, we put the one out, near the 10, inside the 10-yard line, and he had another banger. So just how all that formula is fitting together. And then week in and week out, you have different players that are coming and going. So it's never the exact same 2 weeks in a row. And this week was the biggest example of it.
Yeah, they had 8 of their 10 drives get across midfield and into Washington territory. So There's been a lot of efficiency going on. How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling them you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa Debit Card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCards. So, any interesting angles to this game that we haven't tackled yet from your point of view as we get ready? First-year head coach Kellen Moore with a young quarterback, veterans speckled all over the field, certainly at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Anything stick out about this Saints team coming in here?
To me, it's more about the Bears. So, from all the time that I've been in football, is you kind of, before analytics were a part of it, you kind of understood the formula of the play caller from the football teams. this right now, we're going to have to look behind the curtain week in and week out because Ben Johnson is going to change his game planning according to what he's being offered by the defense. And because Dennis Allen knows this defense so well, maybe Ben will get a little bit more insight. But if we think that we're going to predict what type of personnel groupings he's going to use, now we don't. And if you think that you're going to come aboard and understand how Ben's thinking, we don't. And that's what kind of is reinvigorated the excitement of watching the week-to-week offensive performance because he is so creative with the way he sees the opponent and not the way analytics say the opponent is being seen.
That's going to do it for us. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.